Can you believe it? We are back. What's up, folks? It's Steve Holmes streaming live from the Los Angeles area here in the drum room. It's May 6, 2023. It's been a couple of weeks. It has been a couple of weeks since we did this. We took a week off. I felt like the last stream actually went pretty well. It was April 22nd. We had a lot of good questions, some great discussions, some fun playing. We played along with some tracks. We're doing that now once in a while. Because it's all about playing the music and making music, and we're trying to do more of that around here. So those of you that missed the last stream, I want to encourage you to check it out. It's on my YouTube channel, or on Facebook, or on Twitter, or on Twitch. Actually, it's archived in all those places because right now we're blasting to several different platforms. We got Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Twitter. We're blasting to all 5 right now, which means questions and comments. That's what kind of drives the stream here. It's all about the discussion. The playing's fun, and that kind of thing. It's always a challenge to try to play successfully the stuff that is in your head. And that's one of the things we talk about a lot here is how hitting the drums is the last step in a process. And I find that process very interesting, like where you get your ideas, where your ideas come from, what's preventing me or other musicians from playing their ideas, and kind of, maybe getting some help in that regard, isolating that for myself and helping other people in the chat, etc., etc. So yeah, my name is Steve Holmes. We're going to play some drums. We're going to do a little warming up here. Post those questions, post the feedback, because every time we, flip the switch on here, there's always room for improvement or room for something to go wrong. So do let me know how it sounds. Let me know if there's any issues. Just let us know that you're out there. All right. There's a lot of chat amongst the viewers these days. So that's what we're all about here. So in the spirit of less talking, more playing, I'm going to do some playing. So cheers and welcome. Yeah, we did a thing. We played drums. Man, I should have stopped like halfway. Halfway through that. Should have stopped. Had no business. No business going. No business going that long. Should have stopped. Anyway, what's up, folks? This is Steve Holmes. Trying to turn off our camera switcher here. Keeps going back and forth to the different cameras, and we're going to fix that. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. This is always fun. Playing drums, getting it out. It's kind of our therapy. You know, it's kind of our therapy. So, thanks for hanging out. Let's see. What are we doing? Lots of folks saying lots of stuff. And, there we go. Please stop. Scene switcher. Thanks for the feedback. Let's see what folks are saying. Lavish D is here on YouTube. Lavish is a long time stream attender. Lavish, really appreciate your support, man. Cheers. Lavish says smooth as silk. Nice. Ray Audette on Facebook says sounds great. Thank you, Ray. Really appreciate it. Cheers. Lavish D says the splashes really complement each other nicely. Yeah, I kind of like having, splashes that are tonally, have a clear kind of interval there, G. And I try to make some, phrases out of those kind of, the pitch difference sometimes, but not all the times. A lot of times you're just like whacking away and like whatever happens, like about the last half of that thing that I just played. But, I don't know, like I knew I should have stopped, and it was like I was in that place where I was like, the hands are kind of like running out of energy a little bit, and it's like, you know what, man, like the ideas are coming, like, so stay with it and just try to execute. And I'd rather continue the race and stumble a little bit than just stop, which is odd because, there's people watching and whatever, but that's just the nature of this. It's kind of why I'm doing this, really. At this point, it's just like, just kind of putting it out there, just putting it out there. Let's see. Milway Galaxy Band on YouTube says, hi, Steve. My problem is that when I'm practicing by myself, I can play anything I think of, but as soon as I'm with a band, I really can't apply what's so ever been working on. I really find it challenging. Man, that's an excellent question. Milky Way Galaxy Band on YouTube. Before we continue, I want to say hi to my Aunt Carol. Hi, Aunt Carol on Facebook. Thank you for hanging out. Miss you. Milky Way Galaxy Band. That seems like a common thing, and I certainly have experienced that. Like, hey, I can do this thing kind of in the practice room, but then you get to, a playing situation with other people, and you have trouble kind of doing the same thing, and there could be a number of reasons for that. But the first thing that I would check, and I'm not saying this is the case for you, I'm just saying this is what I would work on if I found that was happening, is the things that I can play by myself and I can play with music. Like, first of all, like, can I play it with a click in time? Like, is it on the grid? Because sometimes we play a fill, and maybe there's a couple extra beats, or there's a couple beats missing in terms of like, hey, does it fit within the counts that we think it is? Like, if we think it's a bar long, like, is it really a bar long? There's definitely been times where I thought for sure, oh, well, this phrase is 3/4 notes long, and turns out it's not, and so you got to make sure your the thing you're playing actually fits within the time that you think that it fits. And the way to do that is by turning on a click. But also being able to play like all your fills that you come up with, anything that you're practicing, you got to practice it like play a groove, play the thing, play a groove, play the thing. That's how you practice like all phrasing that's not groove oriented. In my opinion, like because I want to be able to play it like within the context of a groove. I want to be able to play it, in a musical context or with other musicians. And so if I can't put it on the grid and within the context of music or within the context of a groove, then I don't want to play it. Unless it's specifically a thing that's like, oh, this is for like an open solo where there's no time and this is a neat sounding thing. And, there's a place for that stuff too. But just don't get the two things confused, Like we're talking about, oh, I can play things by myself, but not with a band. Like those are the kind of things to work on. And like also like take a song, that you're trying to play, with the band and you're trying to play your thing in that song. And like, that's how you should practice it, like by yourself, play it within the context of that song. And if you're still having problems, then, I don't know, write it out, slow it down, ask the band to like loop a certain section of a song that you're struggling with, and let them know what's going on. It's like, hey, I'm trying to play this thing, and maybe record yourself playing that thing by yourself successfully, and then bring it into practice and be like, hey, I'm playing this thing by myself. I would love for it to be the fill that gets us into the bridge of this tune. Check it out, and maybe they can help you kind of get it off the ground. Other than that, it could be a physical thing, a technique thing, because you hit the drums different when you play by yourself than when you play with a band. Chances are, a lot of folks, especially like if you're kind of just, if you're, beginner / intermediate, I can almost guarantee, especially, if you play your drums by yourself in the same room and if the band comes to your place, then that'll feel like real familiar because like you're in the same environment. If you move your drums to a different place, all bets are off. You're literally hitting the reset button. Everything's going to feel different. The drums are going to sound different. The feedback that you're getting from the instrument is going to be different. It's going to compete with other instruments. All bets are off if you move your drums and you're playing with live musicians. And so this is why practicing, in my opinion, and getting things like second nature and getting your technique happening is so important. So that you don't have to worry about that stuff on the gig or at the rehearsal. Like I want to be the drummer. I think it's a good idea to be the drummer that's like, you know what? I got the drumming thing handled. Let's talk about the music. Am I too loud? Are you too loud? Is this song doing what we want it to do? Like, oh, the first verse is like, it's kind of a quiet thing. And then we build up to the chorus. And the second verse is like a heavy thing. And then, like make sure the music is doing what you want it to do and get to a place where you can just focus on that instead of like the drumming. You get your whole, you get all the practice room time to work on the drumming. Just get to the point where it's like, okay, I got the drumming covered. Like let's play music, and if they need to turn down, then tell them to turn down. If you need to play quieter, then play quieter. Like you are part of a thing that is like, one part of a whole thing that literally has a goal, and the goal is to make musical statements that other people hear and get, hopefully. And playing drums is just one fraction of that process. And I know I'm going on a tangent here, but we're, Milky Way Galaxy Band on YouTube asked about, like, oh, I can't play the things in, a band context that I can play by myself. And it's like, we look at that and we kind of zoom out and look at the big picture. This is what we're doing. And that provides context for the question there. I think we've talked about that enough. Alex S. on YouTube. What's up, Alex? Alex has been to many streams. Alex says, nice playing. I'm still working on your licks from an old YouTube video. Oh, geez. And there's the sticking. And you explained how you sing the right-hand accents in your head and fill in left with the ghost notes. Yes, geez, what sticking is that? Right, left, left. Right. Oh. Sorry, Alex put the sticking in there, and I'm trying to, like, what subdivision was it, Alex? Was it triplets, or was it... I think right, left, left, right, left. Sorry, I'm trying to get the sticking. Oh, okay. Yes, I know the lick now. Des, 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 des. Yes, I know the lick. I know the video you're talking about. Yeah, it's that Steve Smith. Fill. Sorry, I'm checking. Got a message from my good buddy, Mike Nealand. Drumming community VIP, Mike Nealand. What's up, Mike? Yeah, so Alex is asking about this particular lick, and in the video on my YouTube channel, if you've not been to my YouTube channel, please go there. Please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get my subscriber count up. We just passed 23,600. Trying to keep it going. Trying to keep it going. So if you like this content, please subscribe to the channel, and tell anyone you think might be interested to check out the channel. And subscribe. That would be great. So Alex is asking a particular phrase. Let's see. You explain that you sing the right-hand accents in your head and fill in with the left hand with the ghost notes. Yes, that's true. And this is what he's talking about. In the spirit of less talking, more playing, this is the phrase that Alex is talking about. Should we switch to this camera? No, let's stay on this camera for this. Okay, this is the phrase he's talking about. I'll play it slowly. I'll play it simply, and then I'll kind of expand on it. Okay. And in that video, I talked about like how that phrase kind of launched me into creating variations of that phrase, basically, and how I'm not thinking about all the notes. All I'm thinking about is bat 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 at, bat 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 at, bat 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 at. Right, the foot is kind of a pickup note. But yeah, a lot of the ghost notey, busy, triplety stuff. Like I'm not thinking about all the notes. I'm thinking about the accents. It's really my thing. And many others things is like accents of the phrase, low notes, ghost notes in between, right? And I was thinking about this recently, actually, in the context of like, you know, a lot of power single stroke guys, you know, that are into playing really fast with singles, you know, a lot of gospel chops guys, you know, that stuff is amazing. But I was, you know, whenever I watch that stuff, I'm impressed and blown away. But then I'm like, can I sing one of those phrases? Like, what is the phrase? You know, like that's where I'm coming from. Like I'm trying to come up with like musical phrases. And sure, we all get to the point where it's like, okay, we're just kind of turning on the speed and just, you know, kind of putting our hands where you know, where we want to try to put them. But I think, you know, I like the approach of like, you know, it's kind of this engine of kind of low ghost notes, and then like the accents are kind of like the improv. And that also adds the element of dynamics, which is important for making things listenable. You know, like if everything is on 11, then that becomes like, in my opinion, like that can become like sonically abrasive, you know, to the listener. And I think that there's value in volume, peaks and valleys, and flow, and that kind of thing. I think it's more musical, you know. And again, like it's not a contest. It's not this is better than that. We're just talking about strengths and weaknesses of different approaches, and you know, comparing and I'm saying like what I prefer. You know, obviously not everyone's going to agree with me, and I'm just prefacing all this because some people might be like, "Oh, you said you hated this style of drumming," and that's not what I'm saying. Okay. And you know what? If I had a lick that was like super singles guy, like if I could turn that on once in a while, of course I would. Of course I would. I just don't like that stuff enough to like spend the time, you know, getting airplane propeller hands to do it. You know, I don't know if I could. So there's always that too. But like, I like a lot of guys that play with that style. You know, that's what I like about Gergo Borlai actually, is because he has that, but he also has all the other stuff. He has like everything. He play with dynamics. He has that kind of flow. You know, he has like the ghost notey phrasing. He has the power single stuff. Like he has all that stuff. That's part of the reason why I love Gergo. Some folks just only have that as their go-to thing for chops, and that's where it's like, okay, after 10 seconds, it's like, okay, well, I guess that's it. You know, I guess that's just we're gonna be repeating that over and over. Yeah, so there's that. So we were talking about that phrase, bat, bat, bat at, and then like continuing it, particularly the offbeats, and just, you know, replacing the accents that are normally played with the right hand and replacing them with the foot. All right, so a quick demonstration of that, because we've talked about this on the stream before. Again, this is for Alex S. on YouTube. So that's just a quick example of getting those 16-note triplets going. It's a lot of just right, left, left, right, left, left, replacing a lot of the rights with the foot. But the key is like internalizing what those accents sound like against the quarter note, keeping the quarter note going with the left foot. These are just things that I like doing, things that I think work for what I'm trying to do. But once you get those upbeats going, badass, dash, 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 you start replacing those upbeats with your foot. Then it starts to get a little like rhythmically deceptive and whoa, what's going on? And I like hearing the fact that the left foot just keeps providing the quarter note through all that stuff. All right, so that was for Alex S. On YouTube. Let's see, what else do we got? Let's see, MS748 Biker, Ms74 Biker. On YouTube says, I really like your manner of playing. It's a pity that I can't understand many turns. Well, if you're enjoying it, then that's something. I mean, you know, we do the best we can to explain things around here. I hope that you get something out of it. Ms74 Biker on YouTube. That's a cool name. Sorry, let's move this a little bit. Let's see, Milky Way Galaxy Band says, what was that happening on the floor tom and the hi-hat bass drum? Yeah, we're going to have to, you know, I don't know, on the next stream, like, I'm trying to get people to go back to old streams and provide, like, you can make a link to a particular timestamp in a video. If you guys put links in here to old streams and be like, hey, this part right here, like, what were you doing? I'm happy to explain that stuff. What was I going to say? Yeah, I don't know if folks know this, but on YouTube, like, if you right-click or command-click on Mac, at a particular point in the video, you can create a link to that part of the video, which is cool. So if you send that link to someone and they click it, the video will start playing at that part, and I think that's super, super helpful. Let's see, Bobby Vincent says, nice, what's up, Bobby? Thanks for hanging out again, man. Really appreciate it. Lavish D says, can you explain those hand-foot rolls when you go down and come back up? Oh, yeah, we did that a little bit last stream. Go down and come back up. Yeah, I'll just really quick, like we've been talking about this one lick. It's my new favorite lick. It's from Louie Palmer. For those of you who don't know, Louie is an amazing drummer. But yeah, that kind of lick allows you to go down and then it ends like on a foot. And so at that point you can kind of restart over wherever you want. And the more I do it, the more I like kind of doing it like in a particular way where I come down and then whatever. I'll just demonstrate it really slowly. We keep talking about this lick, but this is like my new favorite go-to lick. So I'll demonstrate it really quick. The sticking is like foot, right, left, right, left, right. Foot right, left, right, left, right. So it's just 2 16-note triplets, you know, and that kind of launches you to other things, right? So if you play 2 more 16-note triplets, you're like 2, 2, and 2, right? That's the second half, right? So foot right, left, there's 1 triplet. Right, left, right on the floor tom, there's your other triplet. And at that point, you can play whatever you want. I choose to play like 2 more 16-note triplets by doing 2, 2, and 2, or like a Steve Gadd like foot right, left, and right, left, left. Foot right, left, right, left, left. There's your Steve Gadd like. Anyways, it's just mixing and matching that stuff. And again, keeping the hat going the whole time. Right? I'll demonstrate that really quick. I hope that's what you're talking about. Actually, I should mention, now that I'm like spelling it out, like that's not. I usually don't start at the high tom after doing the mid and low tom thing. Here, I'll just shut up and play it. But I realized I described it incorrectly. Yeah, we've been talking about that a lot. Like last 3 streams at least, that lick has come up. Super cool. And the sticking on the middle and low tom, like I got that from a Louie Palmer video lesson that he did for Vic Firth. And I'm still getting to know that phrase. You know, when you have a phrase that really has a lot of potential to connect to other phrases or become, you know, its own kind of phrase, like in my opinion, like for me, it takes a while to like get to know it and then find what you think the best uses for it are. And I'm literally in that process with this phrase right now. And the things that I just demonstrated are kind of like the cool ways that I think that particular sticking works. So I hope that answers your question. Lavish D. Let's see. Lorca says, bravo. What's up, Lorca? A lot of regulars here. Bobby Vincent. Yeah, Ken Bird. Ken Bird on Facebook says, said it before, drummers are amazing people. Thank you for sharing, Steve Holmes. Yes, Ken, thank you. So glad you could check things out. Let's see, Royo Sergio on Facebook says that wicked left hand. Amazing technique. Thank you. Have you played the new RC models? The new recording custom stuff I haven't played, actually. I have my old recording customs here in the back. We have 8, 10, 12. I have a stream where I set those up. These drums right here. I set these up and we tuned them together. That was super fun. So check that out on my YouTube channel. All the streams we've done in the past, they're all on my channel. And we did a whole stream where we set up the recording customs. We tuned them up. We had a lot of fun doing that. Let's see. Pablo Swanson. Steve, the drum kit is not a toy. Oh, man. Pablo Swanson. Yes, I recognize your name, too. It really is not a toy. It really isn't. That's a reference to a lot of my old instructional videos that I've done over the years. A lot of times we end the video by saying it's not a toy. All right? which I think dates back to the original Bluzda video. It's not a toy. Let's see. Endless Nameless says, awesome. Can you talk and demonstrate a bit of the DiCenso rolls and his really fast go-to licks down the toms? You know the particular sticking he often uses. I don't actually know the sticking that Dave often uses. I wish I did. It's funny. I was thinking today, man, Dave's putting out another book. We're talking about Dave DiCenso, one of my favorite drummers of all time. He's probably, at this point, I'd say he's I don't know. He's in my top 5 for sure. Dave DiCenso is doing a thing that no one else is doing. He has this flow that he can just turn on and keep it going and turn off whatever he wants. He's not limited to like a bar or two. It's nuts. Love Dave DiCenso's drumming. And he put out one book. He's in the process of putting out another book. And I thought about getting those books and maybe trying some of those lessons here live on the stream. I think that might be pretty cool to get me outside of my comfort zone and just demonstrate how I would practice new stuff and maybe get a couple of wins and show the process of like, geez, this feels awkward, I can't do it. And oh, hey, I can kind of do it. And oh, I get what this is trying to say. And hey, and now I can do it in the context of my other stuff. And I think there's potential for that. And it's probably going to be one of those things that I say and don't do, but who knows? We'll see. What we need is to get Dave in here. All right. And actually, for those that don't know, I interviewed Dave. Dave was one of the few times I actually did a proper interview on my website, houseofdrumming.com. And I hesitate to plug it because I don't think you can find it anymore. There's no link that's obvious on there. But I interviewed Dave years ago, and I recorded it, I transcribed it, and I'll see if I can post the link to it. But anyway, love Dave. And someone asked me if I knew, like, hey, what's the sticking he uses? And the answer is I don't know. I don't know the sticking. Let's see, you know the particular sticking. Yeah, you're describing more Dave's sticking. Let's see. Bobby Vincent says, I love that one shot of the hammered ride next to the ripped curly kick drum. Let's see. Emmett on Facebook. Emmett Lentucci. Let's see. Great way to spend a Saturday in New York listening to. Oh, thank you so much. Emmett is amazing drummer on Facebook. Thank you so much for hanging out. Let's see. Drums, verdict, wicked left hand technique. Thank you. Hey, Steve. Ghoosh, says Will Platt. Every time Will Platt is here, he's like, ghoosh. We love the ghoosh around here. The ghoosh is floor tom and cymbal together. Preferably a China kind of cymbal, which this is. And we have another one back here. The cymbals are listed in the description. Excuse me. The cymbals are listed in the description of this video, wherever you're watching. But we love the ghoosh. And Will, you know, I remembered the first time I heard the ghoosh. I remembered. And it was not with a China cymbal, but it was with a crash. And it was this old Journey song called Send Her My Love. Steve Smith on drums. This is like when I was little on MTV watching this stuff. And during the guitar solo, like in the groove, it's not like a one-off. Like it's part of the groove. It's so tasty. Steve Smith, 80s Steve Smith. I mean, come on. Some of the coolest drumming ever. But it's like boons, dat doons, dat doons, dat doon, doosh, dat doon, dat doons, dat doon, gosh. And I remember thinking like, oh, that's like floor tom and cymbal together. It's like its own cool thing. And Steve Smith with the early ghoosh. Yes. Oh man, we talk about the ghoosh a lot around here. Let's see. Drums Verdict on YouTube says, have you ever played? Oh, we talked about that already. Let's see. Ryan Cox. Ryan, I recognize your name too. Thanks for hanging out. What are your thoughts on the whole authenticity thing? In each style, there's specialists who sound super authentic, usually because they grew up playing that style. How far down the ... authenticity rabbit hole should a drummer go? Says Ryan. Let's see. Man, you know, that's... Hey, Steve Orkin on Facebook. What's up? So many guys hanging out right now. Steve, Drumming VIP, thank you for the compliment, Steve. I hope you're doing well. Say hi to Dave. What was I going to say? Yes, authenticity and how far... I mean, that's a personal choice. Like Ryan's asking, like, hey, how far should someone study the authenticity of any genre? And most go-to scenarios for that is like Latin drumming, like, oh, how important is authentic Latin drumming, etc. But one could argue the same thing about rock and roll drumming. Speaking of Steve Smith, I mean, him and other folks have books out there about how American rock and roll got its start, and the roots of that kind of drumming, and one could study the authenticity of that kind of thing as well. So it's not just applicable to Latin drumming or jazz drumming for that matter. But just to answer the question, like, how important is it? I would say it's not a requirement, but it's only going to help. It's only going to help, if you're into jazz drumming, certainly if you're into like Latin drumming, and you get that stuff happening. I kind of feel like the checklist of any serious drummer that like wants to get like excellent, like master level, like once you're getting to like, you know what I'm talking about. I think part of that process is doing your research, and it doesn't mean you have to like the older music or even old, instances of the kind of drumming that you're doing. It doesn't mean you have to like it, but I think there is value in researching it and becoming familiar with it, because it's only going to solidify you and where it comes from, in you. If you're into whatever big band drumming, of course you got to check out like authentic big band, drumming, and like chances are the older it is, the better it is, really, when it comes to that kind of music. Certainly not 100% of the time, but oftentimes, for big band stuff, like I can't think of like a better instance than like whatever the Buddy Rich big band, and and I don't mean like, oh, because Buddy was so fast and the Buddy thing and the soloing thing that Buddy does. I just mean like his swing, his energy. He was like big band music personified, and so of course he's going to elevate a band musically, like in a crazy, amazing way. And I'm sure there's Latin drummers that are the same thing, my personal recollection, like just of all the music that I've listened to. I mean, if I'm in the mood for like Latin music, I don't want like a 90s fusion songo, version of it, like I want to hear like authentic Latin stuff, and so I think it's important to go down that road and maybe sprinkle a little bit of it into your thing. If you're not playing in an authentic way, it might be cool to create a layer of authenticity in your interpretation, which is a key word that I should have said a long time ago when it comes to this stuff, is like interpretation. But I think that it's possible that some musicians use the interpretation avenue as a cop-out. Oh, I don't need to study the authentic stuff. I don't need to learn the authentic stuff. I'm doing my interpretation. Your interpretation will be better if you can like start with the authentic stuff. You can play the authentic stuff. If you get it, like, oh, I get what this is trying to do. I get that, like, drum set versions of Latin grooves, like the cross stick is supposed to mimic like a pop on a conga. If you're playing like a basic, Naningo, for example, Man, the brain farts are really creeping in now. Oh man, but you get the point. Like regardless of my ability to do it, like the point remains. Like starting with something that's like the textbook version, the authentic version, And I'm not even going to say that like my Naningo is authentic. Like obviously it's not, but like that's the textbook Naningo that I learned. And the point is like I know that like, oh, the cross stick is supposed to mimic like a conga part of the bell. It's supposed to mimic like a, you know, a cowbell of some kind. And I should probably shut up because I don't know a lot about that, but we're just trying to answer the question. Like the question is like, how important is it to learn authentic stuff? And I think I've embarrassed myself enough talking about it. Oh man, Lorca says, "Hey Steve, are you touring or playing around with bands, recording sessions? You're a great drummer. Greetings from Spain once again." Lorca, thank you so much. Not doing a whole lot of touring or gigging these days, Lorca. I got you know a lot of stuff going on outside of this room. You know, I have a full-time job as a video game designer. You know, I'm married, and you know, the music thing is not how I'm paying my bill these days. It's how I'm paying my internal bills. It's how I'm like, you know, it brings joy to my life, and it's a source of joy, and I love, you know, sharing information. Lavish D with the $5 donation on YouTube. Thank you, Lavish. Anyone else interested in supporting, you can do that on YouTube. There's a super button that you can use to support. I don't have a Patreon these days. I don't plan on starting a Patreon. Someone suggested that I do that, and I looked into it, and I just I don't want to have to create content. Pretty much, like I want to be able to do this, like when I want to do this, when I have time to do this, and that kind of thing. But yeah, there's still ways to financially support, and we love it. Like, you know, like over the years, folks have supported for the information that's provided here, and we've got overhead mics, and we've slowly like improved this room here, and it all goes to that. And so any support is appreciated for sure. It's my little digital tin cup on the corner here. Let's see, Ryan Cox. Yeah, we talked about authenticity. Let's see, Bobby Vincent. Dan, did you warm up today? You're playing better than usual. Thank you, Bobby. You know, I haven't, at the risk of embarrassing myself, I should say that this is the first time I've touched, like today, this is the first time I've touched my drums since April 22nd, the last stream, 2 weeks ago. And I was really worried about streaming today, all while I was getting myself ready and turning everything on and sitting at the drums. And I was like, man, what am I doing? I'm just going to embarrass myself. But I did warm up a little bit, and it takes a little while to get like the good drum sound set up with the stream before I actually hit the trigger. But yeah, we did do a little warming up, and I appreciate the compliment. Rizman on YouTube says, "Hey gang, what's up, Rizman?" Let's see, Steve Kingston on YouTube says, "Hi from the UK. Bass drum sounds like Godzilla in a good way. Nice." I'm kind of happy with the bass drum sound at this point too, although we really need to get a proper engineer in here to help me tweak the drum sound. Yeah, let's see, Bobby Vincent. Let's see, please link Dave's interview. Oh yeah, geez, okay. I guess I should do that. Drums America says, "Yo Steve" on YouTube. What's up, Drums America? Thanks for hanging out. Emmett on YouTube says, "Here the new April 21st Tom Scott podcast with Vinny, JR, and Rick Murata. Oh, it's 60 minutes. Nice. I will have to check that out. April 21st Tom Scott podcast with Vinny, JR, and Rick Murata." 60 minutes, awesome stories, nice. I definitely want to check that out. Oh man, I'm just laughing. Let's see. There was a video put on YouTube, like, I don't know, a while ago now, a couple years ago, and it was some footage of the recording session of a Nike commercial with a bunch of drummers together. And Vinny was in there with Greg Bissonette and JR and maybe Rick Murata, I don't know. Bunch of guys. All in the same room, all the drums set up. And it's cool, it's entertaining, but man, you can feel the competitiveness. You can feel it. This is like 80s, right? So it's like, whatever. You know, 20, 30 years ago. 40 years ago. Oh, they talk about that, says Emmett. Do they talk about that? Ooh, man. And I actually heard that, like, the footage that's on YouTube is not all the footage. Like, there was some other footage there, and, like, whatever. People are people, and it's, decades later, and it's not fair to be like, oh, 40 years ago you said this thing, or you acted a certain way, and, all those guys are amazing drummers, and we're lucky to even have that footage. So give me a moment while I try to find this Dave DiCenso interview. I'm going to Google it really quick. I'm going to Google my own website. Let's see if we can find the link. Streaming. Oh, here we go. Nice. Okay, yes, okay. I found the link to the interview. I'm going to post it in the chat. And this link is to part 1. And then there's a link to part 2 in there. And you'll see. Okay, thank you for providing the Tom Scott podcast. Okay, so here's the link of the Dave DiCenso interview on House of Drumming. It says it's going to come from Restream. That's going to go to Twitch and YouTube. Actually, only Twitch and YouTube. It's not going to go to Facebook. I'll see if I can post the link directly to the Facebook stream right now. I don't have Facebook open. But let's open it. Here's my stream. Okay, here's the DiCenso link. I'm posting it in Facebook. This is really exciting. Folks get to watch me look at a screen and click things. What a great stream you're doing, Steve. There it is. All right, so we've reached the end of the chat. Should change your site to, oh yeah, HTTPS. Yes, agreed. That actually might work. What happens if I just add that? Oh yeah. I mean, that's really old, that House of Drumming link. Let's see. Hey, Steve, has there been a lot of bashing Lars Ulrich lately? There has been a lot of bashing Lars Ulrich. What is your view on Lars personally? Well, you know, I'm a fan of kind of keeping things positive. You know, Lars is a rock star who is going to go down in history in a band that is culturally significant across the world. So anyone who kind of like, you know, has, I mean, that right there it's a huge accomplishment. And so it almost doesn't matter. Like, oh, he's not, you know, the greatest drummer in the world. I mean, Lars is as good as Lars wants to be. And, you know, that music is so successful at achieving what it's trying to achieve. You know, I like the drumming on the hits that I've heard. You know, I don't own any Metallica recordings, or I've never dug into that stuff. But like, you know, the stuff that was on MTV when I was growing up, you know, One, you know, that song, and Nothing Else Matters. I remember, you know, thinking it was cool, you know, Lars in the studio, like playing that kind of slow, sloshy groove, you know, with the loose hats. And I remember he had headphones on with like a headband around the headphones. And I mean, I don't know. Musicians are competitive. And regardless of whether you're a musician or not, people like to cross their arms and say bad things about other things to make themselves feel better. And to defend the thing that they like. Because usually when you say that, oh, this one thing is bad, it's associated with, it's because this other thing is better or something. And of course I did my share of that kind of thing, you know. I mean, I'm 50 now. And so, you know, I've been passionate about music my whole life. And so, of course, I did my share of folding my arms and be like, this thing is not good and this thing is better. And I still do that, of course, you know, from time to time. But my philosophy now is like, it's just try to be positive. Like I said, it's not a contest. You know, I like analyzing. I like observing. I like noticing strengths and weaknesses of one thing and comparing to strengths and weaknesses of another. And, you know, there's a lot of drummers that would sound great in Metallica, but Lars at this point is probably like, who's going to sound better in that band than him, you know? And if there are other drummers that would sound better in Metallica, I mean, there's things that Lars brings that, I mean, he's in the DNA of that music. Like, he's going to be able to play those tunes better than a lot of guys that come along, you know? Let's see, Andre Salaman on YouTube with the $10 donation. Thank you, Andres. Really, really appreciate it. Bobby says, you're great, Steve. Keep up this style stream. Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate it. When you say this style, this is kind of the same thing we always do, right? Is there a particular thing that's happening today, Bobby, that you think is cool? Let me know. Yeah, you know, I think it's almost silly. You know, I mean, like, if you want to get, like, analyze drumming specifically, I mean, sure. I mean, who knows? Maybe Lars's drumming has been corrected in Pro Tools and, like, whatever. Like, I don't know. I kind of don't think... I kind of don't think that it matters. I mean, that much. I mean, Metallica's trying to do a thing. Lars is a part of that thing. He's successfully, like... You know, I mean, okay, I'll say something negative. Okay, I'll you know, if folks think I'm being a cop out, like, oh, you know, we don't say anything. Okay, let's say something. Let's say something bad. I'll say something bad about Lars Ulrich. Okay. Or anyone that has this kind of drum set. And it's not even about his drumming. It's like, I always thought it was odd, because I use the word odd instead of bad. I always think it's odd if you have a drum set and all your tom-toms are deep and big. Like, what is the tonal difference between those toms? It's like, digga, digga, dugga, 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 dugga. Like, they're all going to sound the same, you know? Like, and even if you were to tune them up, like, tonally, like, it would almost sound silly and whatever. So, but that, I mean, even that, like, as soon as I say something that's questionable or something bad, it's like I immediately see the other side of it, right? Like, the counter argument, right? It's the internal debating thing, right? It's like, well, that style, that sound, you know, that kind of kid is appropriate for that kind of music, you know? What do you want? Like a 4-piece? This kit would sound horrible in Metallica. Maybe. I don't know. I should shut up. I could learn a Metallica song and play it on here, you know. Did you guys see that clip on Drumeo of Dennis Chambers playing along to the Tool track? I always thought it was super cool that he did that. That track in 5. Anyways, yeah. I mean, you bring up like, oh, Steve, what do you think about, you know, what everyone's saying about Lars? It's like, I don't like, the point is not that about Lars at that point. The point is like all these people that are saying bad things about him. That's just silly. It's not a good way to be. It's not a good way to be, you know? And it's funny because all it takes is like a moment to reflect on a time where one has said something bad about something. Like, we've all done it. I've done it. Everyone has done it, especially if you're a musician. Like, oh, this thing sucks, or that guy is bad, or whatever. And it's like the next day, like, you think about like the fact that you said that and like, what did that contribute? It doesn't contribute anything. Like, even if you say it directly to the person, like drummer Joe, you know, Joe Smith drummer, your drumming is like, it's not gonna. It literally it achieves nothing and helps nothing unless you're like trying to be a football coach. Oh, you suck. You need to get it together. Like, oh yeah, it's crazy. People can be a downer, you know. And honestly, like, ever since I've started this thing where it's like, okay, see both sides of an issue, try to be positive. Like, it's just healthier. I feel so much better. And being a musician, there's a ton of opportunities to try to be like this. And so at this point, I'm like, oh, you guys need to be like me and don't be, you know, negative. It's silly. Like, I'm not even saying that. And see, there's also an episode where Lorna Lowe's played Metallica song after hearing it for the first time. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Drumeo's doing some cool stuff, man. I like the Drumeo, you know, the Drumeo content. Dave DiCenso on Drumeo. Gergo Borlai, his appearance on Drumeo, those two things, some of the best drumming I've ever seen. Ever. It's ridiculous. Although, I will say that like Thomas Lang was on there. Thomas Lang is all over the place. I love that Thomas Lang is just like, he's on the drum channel, he's on Drumeo, he's got his own stuff, and he's such an amazing drummer. But they did a thing on Drumeo where they were like, hey, let's do a whole show about paradiddles. And he did, and I thought that there was room for improvement in there. Really. I love Thomas Lang. I love his drumming. I'm just saying, like, I was waiting for, like, a guy of his caliber to, like, because he was just saying kind of, like, basic, like, oh, paradiddles with your feet and paradiddles with your hand and put them on the right cymbal and put them on the hi-hat and it sounds like a groove and it's kind of like, I don't know. I stumbled on, like, paradiddle. Like, paradiddles used to not be a part of my drumming at all. And then a friend of mine showed me like a phrase or two using paradiddles in 30-second notes. And I do this stuff all the time now. Like, you guys have heard me talk about this. You've seen me play this stuff all the time. And I tapped into this kind of faucet, this kind of new way of like playing the thing we talked about earlier. Like, accents are the phrase, the quiet notes are the other stuff, you know? And then I discovered that it was applicable to like 16 notes and 30-second notes because it's paradiddles, which means it's either 2 or 4 notes, right? Paradiddle, whatever. But then I discovered that you could take paradiddles and also create cool phrases in triplets, even though it's groups of 2 and 4, right? And I was doing that a bunch in my opening improv. Like, I'll show you a basic phrase using triplets, and because I tried to cop that common 6/8 pattern, right? Dot 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 dot, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? 4 4 and 6/8. It's the same thing, right? Snapping the quarter note, singing 6/8, right? Dot 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 dot, right? That was the ride pattern of the Naningo that we played earlier, right? So I was like, what would be the sticking if I wanted to play that over paradiddles? Right? What would be the sticking if I wanted to play that as accents over paradiddles? I'll show you what I mean. And this is really cool because I'll do it, and once I establish that, I was like, okay, it's that at that point you just start improvising off that phrase. You start making variations of that phrase. You start literally like once you get comfortable with the sticking, it's like, okay, if I want to play, if I want to accent the quarter note, then I'm just playing paradiddles. If I want to accent the eighth note, I'm just playing paras and this kind of thing. And it like opens up the ability to literally improvise with accents over top of triplets using like paradiddles or paradiddle diddles. And it's not 100% paradiddles all the time. And I'll shut up and I'll just play. Okay, so started out with the basic dot, 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 right? Figured out how to play those accents using paradiddles, right? Paradiddle, 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 diddle, right? That's me, that's the sticking. Paradiddle, 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 diddle. Okay? And this is often the process. Like, once I get the ability to, like, okay, I can play these accents while maintaining the ghost notes, learn it, solidify it, play it within a groove, like we said, because it's always like play a groove, play the thing, play a groove, play the thing. Now it's time to make variations. Now it's time to change it up and create variations of that one phrase, right? And make variations off of it. And once you get the ability to do that, you just pick any phrase you want. And your hands are used to the sticking. And sure, sometimes like the ghost notes, I got to stop them and kind of restarting, whatever. It's not perfect. It's not the point. And I mention this because this is like in my opinion, like an actual way to take paradiddles and use them in a cool and musical way that doesn't sound like an exercise. Some of it does, some of it doesn't. Your mileage may vary. You might hate this stuff, whatever. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. That's just one, and that's just over triplets. I didn't even talk about like 30-second notes. I've talked about, paradiddles using 30-second notes. I actually have another video on my channel that's all about like 30-second note phrasing used in paradiddles, I do that stuff all the time, and it's great for your hands, and it's like, You can actually see my hands are like working pretty hard to do that stuff. Anyways, talking about paradiddles over 16-note triplets, and that's an example of that. Let's see. John on YouTube says, sorry, I had a tabla lesson and got in late. Man, tabla lesson. That's crazy. Nicely done, John. Basement Artie on YouTube says, I agree. Basement Artie, I think I love your name. Basement Artie. Let's see. F-tube. Let's see. There's one episode. Okay, yeah, we talked about that already. Ryan Cox says, totally random. But what do you think of Mapex as a company? They used to make lower quality gear, but in the last few years, it's like they've totally blossomed. I'm actually considering buying one. Oh, that's cool. It's cool to, get excited about a company and it's a big commitment. You're going to spend a lot of time on your drums. I think it's cool to want to like the company and their product, not just the I mean, if the drums sound amazing, then I guess it doesn't matter what the company's like. It's like, I like this actor's movies, even though I keep reading that this person is a jerk. Like, it kind of doesn't matter, I have no experience with Mapex, and so I cannot comment on them. But I will say it's a big commitment. I know what it's like to be excited about a product and a company and kind of get obsessed with it and that kind of thing. I am a Yamaha artist. I love my Yamaha drums. These are the Yamaha Phoenix drums, PHX. Best drums in the world, in my opinion. Love these drums. And I was super excited when they were new and when I ordered the kit and waiting for the kit and getting it. And I remember driving Yamaha and because I was tracking it, like I had ordered it through them and Joe Testa was at Yamaha at the time when the PHX were new, right? Because I got in with Yamaha as like a junior kind of artist as a result of Peter Erskine helping me. Thank you so much, Peter. And Joe was like, we got something new and you should wait for that before you order anything. The PHX were new and I waited and I checked them out and I was like, oh my God. And I ordered a kit and I had to wait a few weeks, of course. And I remember the tracking. I was following the tracking online of the arrival and the day it was getting to the Yamaha warehouse, like I was texting Joe. I'm like, dude, I'm on my way. And he didn't know it was coming. He's like, why are you coming? my kit's, oh, okay. So I went and got my kit and I have pictures of that. I have pictures of the boxes that I got and it's a super cool thing. It's like, it's a special part of being a musician. It's like, I mean, I'm not a gearhead, I always say, like, I just want the stuff to sound good. I'm not into like, oh, the 1960s Slingerland, the bracket on the tom-tom is the same as the 1970s Ludwig. Like, I'm not interested in any of that stuff. I just want stuff that sounds good and lasts, I hate getting stuff that's good, but then breaks, nobody likes that. But yeah, I don't have any experience with Mapex, so I can't comment on that, but I think it's cool that you're excited about it, Let's see. Important question. At what age did you improve your drumming the most and how? And then Normalized Audio. What's up, Normalized Audio? Welcome back. It says, do you always start them from the left or from the right? Or start the paradiddle from either hand freely? Normalized Audio. It depends. I want to be comfortable starting phrasing with my left hand, and I think I am fairly comfortable doing that. But really what you want to do is get to the point where it's like if you're trying to play a particular phrase and you can play it forward and backwards. Like you can play it starting with the right, so it's like bas, bas, ba, bas, bas, ba. But you want to be able to start with the left too. Bas, bas, ba, bas, bas, ba. Right? Like I've never done that phrase reverse before, but I've done it enough times to where I know I know how to play it backwards, so you just got to spend the time doing it. And so I think you should be able to do both. And if you are starting something with your left, just be cognizant of what hand is going to be one. That's the big thing. You're starting out, you're playing, I started on my left and here goes nothing. And okay, it's time for one. And which hand is one? That's the big question, right? So that's definitely something to keep track of. What age did you improve your drumming the most? Man, I've been playing I started playing in the 5th grade. So oh man, I don't know. I mean, when I first moved out to LA and went to music school, in the early 90s, 93, 94, and then after I graduated, 95, 96, those years, I was drumming so much. But I'm hesitant to even say, that those were the most, formative years, because the years leading up to that, I was just such a obsessive drummer. I still am, but like when I was young, I was just obsessed with drumming and Neil Peart and Alex Van Halen and Alan White. And then I got into marching band, and I just, when you're in a high school marching band, you were playing all the time. We were a competitive band, so we rehearsed twice a week. We competed on weekends. We played at every football game, and we were into like rudimental drumming. So I got my clean doubles together like in high school. I was pretty lucky that was the case. And when I wasn't in school, I was at home playing along with Rush records on my drum kit. So one could argue that like those were the most important years. So, but you could never, you're always in a place where you can practice the right stuff, the right amount, and get significantly better. Because that's the key. Practice the right stuff, the right amount. That's what we always say around here. Bobby says, I built my own kit. Oh, nice. Show off. All right, so I'm going to play a little bit more. I'm just going to play us out, and then we're going to wrap it up. I really appreciate everyone hanging out. I'm just going to play a little bit, just because I'm having fun. Big Generator. Yes. Big Generator from Yes. The follow-up to Dino 125. Shoot High, Aim Low is one of my all-time favorite songs. Every time I hear that song, I end up blasting and singing along and air guitaring and having like an emotional experience. It's crazy. I love that song. Anyways, if you haven't subscribed to my channel on YouTube, please do so. My name is Steve Holmes. Thank you so much for hanging out. Just gonna play a little bit more, then I'll come back and we'll say goodbye. But thanks for hanging out. All right. That's enough. That's enough, Steve. All right. I love that. Like, maybe we'll talk about that next time. The hitting the hi-hat and then chicking the upbeat, dicky. Like, that's super cool. Vinny Sting Unplugged. That's where that came from. Yeah, and I was like trying to do that and like put my right hand different places, and the wheels totally came off. But whatever. It's about trying stuff. It's about going for it. And you take the wins, you take the losses. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. My name is Steve Holmes. This has been super fun. I had no idea what was going to happen today. But as is often the case, we did it. We finished the race. And I just got the text from the wife to to come take the dog. So it's good timing. All right. Let's see. Should I show you my dog really quick? Let's see. This is my dog, Benny. It's time to go take Benny for a walk. So thanks for hanging out. Check out my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, or if you're on Twitch or whatever, anywhere. But we're trying to get that YouTube subscriber up. AfterTube says, please play YYZ next time. Next time we'll do that. I played YYZ from start to finish on a stream like a few weeks ago. Let's see. JKD says, beautiful playing. What are your thoughts on being proficient in different styles? My thoughts are practice a lot and learn the music. That's my thoughts. But we'll talk about it more next time. JKD, come to the next stream and ask the question again. All right. Thanks for